I love the last page is super cool. I think it's so groovy, and I think as bass players, that's so much of what we do. Oftentimes, it's that rhythmic, like little
Mhm.
rumble under, and it just shows a lot of the character of the bass, and it really shows the character of the piece, and I really love that part. The bass players for Black Composers are super excited that you've written this piece. Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your journey as a composer?
Oh well, I was grew up in Stafford, Virginia, just south of DC, about depending on traffic, 45 minutes to an hour south of DC, and I started on guitar and then viola. So uh, they wanted to put me on bass, but I had to walk a mile to my bus stop, so viola it was. I always had a great love for bass and bass things, and so after college, I played timpani in viola and pits orchestras throughout high school and college, and then afterward, I joined an ensemble as a singer, but then ended up playing electric bass. So um, I've always, like I said, I've always had a great love of like the foundation of any ensemble. The bass is just everything is built on whatever the bass is doing. So, and I was had a great respect for that and a great love of that. And one of my good friends from college, John Capello, is a bassist, and he's played with me in some ensembles, and I've written things for him, and just it's great fun having someone to be like, play this thing. That's not playable by humans. Try again. All right. It worked on my Rickenbacker. Like, a Rickenbacker is not an upright. Try again. So I just have great fun with that. But I love writing for historical instruments, like bass viola da gamba, and I've written for recorder orchestras, so the big contrabass recorders, like anything bass, really. So
I'm
very
glad
fun.
to hear that you like the low sounds.
Oh,
So
the low sounds
this
are the best.
this is the
Just so
perfect.
it fills your chest, it fills your soul, like, and it's just so rooted and structured, and you can build on, like, it's like all of the um overtones and everything are floating around above whatever that fundamental is. So
Awesome. So, and you mentioned earlier to me that you're based in the Boston area.
yes.
That's really awesome. So, if anyone's looking for you, they know where to find you.
Yes.
um, so we talked about a little bit of your love for the low instruments. Tell us more about this piece in particular, what it's about, where you drew inspiration from. Just a little bit more about the background of the piece for everyone.
Well, really, I have a little file on my phone that of interesting phrases and such that I think would make interesting piece titles, and to that some jumping off point that will give me inspiration for a piece. And when the organization asked me to do this commission, one thing that jumped at me from that file list was this quote from probably mispronouncing his name, but I think it's Chinua Achebe, who was a Nigerian author that I remember reading when I was an undergrad. I read Things Fall Apart, and I had run across a quote of his from when he was interviewed in the Paris Review, and it was there is this great proverb that until the lions have their own historians, the history of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. And I just was very taken with this idea of the lions have their own historians. And a phrase that I remember from years and years ago was history is written by the victors. That kind of idea of the hunt glorifying the hunter, the history is written by the victors. But what if we could get a story from the villain of the piece, which may not necessarily be the villain, may just be some lion going on about its life, you know, having its having its cubs, and trying to find dinner and feed its family, and everything. So that was where I got the inspiration for this piece, was from that quote about the idea of the lions having their own historian. So I was like thinking of how perfectly the idea of the bass embody the sound of bass embodying the lion, because it's a powerful creature. Bass is powerful sound. It's deep. It's like I said. It's rooted. It's all the overtones are flying through the air above that fundamental that is so glorious. So
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I think the lion is the perfect character for the base, and there's a bunch of other pieces that are, we're like the bear, we're always the big animal, the scary animal. So this is just perfect. So if we go through just looking at your piece,
mhm.
what are some of the key moments where you really try to embody the lion or this idea of the hunt?
Well, it's not even the hunt that I'm trying to embody. I'm just trying to embody the idea of this, um, what might be have considered a villain actually being the hero of its own story. And from the very that first open fifth chord, just bong, majestic. I am here. I exist. And so some of the other gestures are kind of like sounds that I imagine lion. I mean, I haven't actually seen a lion in person in 20 years. I think it's the last time I went to a zoo. So I don't have a lot of experience with lions, but what I was imagining lions would be saying to themselves and talking about to themselves, the sort of conversations that they might be having amongst themselves, um, are some of the gestures that just triumphant gestures, things that are coming out and going upward, not sinking deeper, but because they're already standing on all four paws, all four paws, majestic and glorious. But like I said, right from that first chord, boom, ah,
Yes.
and everything in this piece is pretty much just based on that ba, and it's just elaborations of that rising third.
Yeah.
So,
So there's kind of there's a bit of a conversation going on through all the different parts of
mhm.
this piece. Um, and I can kind of see that not just physically through the top line and the bottom line, through the pits and the what the other hands are doing, but through the entire progression through the piece. You can really see that popping through. Um, Talk to us a little bit about the story that you had in your mind when you were writing this last really groovy rhythmical section.
Well, that was just the lion going about its business. It's going about it. It's on its hunt. It's feeding its family. It's doing what lions do, but as the hero of its story. Um, Not sneaking and being suspicious and killing for the sake of killing, which sometimes humans do, but just doing what it needs to do to have its existence, and be whatever, happy or safe, or you know it's just going about its life, doing its thing. And sometimes that's being actually on the hunt and just having this groovy, getting through the grasslands or whatever the environment the lion is in. um, you know that should be celebrated, not vilified. That's why I wanted to have this groovy kind of just going about his business, doing his thing
Right.
kind of situation.
And you
But
would say for someone who would might be performing this piece in the future, this is an opportunity for them to kind of create their own story. What is in their head? What is the lion doing? And
yeah,
really take this repetitive, not always repetitive, different rhythms, but very similar structure throughout all the bars, and really making that into their own.
really, absolutely, absolutely. Just do with it as you will. Like things can be slower or faster, or climbing toward things, retreating away from things. Absolutely, make
Right,
your own story.
right. So anyone who's looking to purchase this piece in the future and dig their paws and their claws into it, you know, take the end of this piece and really make it your own. It's a really
Absolutely, yes, 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 yes.
that'll be a really special place for everyone to show their own character throughout the piece. And I
Mhm.
also like how just how similar to the beginning, the piece kind of ends in that same open chord and really brings back the open sound and the overtones and the
Yes.
grounding that you were mentioning before.
Hmm. Standing on all four paws, majestic.
Yes. Let's see. There's I Let's just talk through some other of the really cool aspects of this piece. I think there's these rhythmic sections where you have to fit into the lines, but there's also these places where you can kind of push and pull,
Hmm.
and really awesome extended techniques like the coleño sections where you get to, expand and contract and go closer to the bridge and come back.
Love those colors at the bass, especially the bass. Like Coleño sounds great on any string instrument with a bow, but I think it is particularly amazing because of the overtones that are possible, like the breadth, width, breadth. You know what I mean? The just
Variety.
yeah, the variety of overtones that are possible, and that you hear as you go up and down the string with the stick of the bow. It's just magnificent.
Right. So making those differences in sounds, and really exaggerating those differences is really
Hmm.
important to you.
Hmm.
I love that. Um, and maybe can you talk a little bit about your use of harmonics throughout this piece?
Harmonics are another thing that I just it just the color change, the character change. So same pitches can be produced and in different ways, but I love the etherealness of harmonics, and um, I don't know, just I just like the color change of those, and it could be something that's more wispy, more um, the whatever the grasslands or some you can think of whatever it is that you want to think of it, but it's just definitely a color change for, and I just had fun playing it on my bass. So
Speaking of your bass, do you want to show everyone? I just
oh,
think it would be great for everyone to see.
my 1/4 inch bass that I have, uh, it's it fits my hand perfectly as a violist, so I don't have to like do a lot of stretching that I would in a full size bass, but it sounds pretty cool. I mean, I love it. I
Yeah.
do.
Could you maybe talk a little bit, just, compositionally, how having the instrument in your hands helped you develop this piece?
Well, I mean, just from the get go, I tuned my bass down to that low D, and I was like, "This is it, yeah." And then having the, I'm not a very good bassist, so let's be clear, but my tuning is atrocious. But just being able to, and then have the, but I have it. My bow. I should probably use it. You know, it just felt good.
Right.
It felt. It, I just like making these gestures and having the. I don't know if I just had fun with it. I was just having a grand time. And I would just do things. I'm like, oh, I like that, and I'll write it down. And there were other things I'm like, it'd be really cool if that could happen, but I can't do it. Well, we'll just professional figure it out.
But I love that you've used, you found yourself an instrument and you used it and you said, oh, this feels good, this feels nice to play, this feels nice to the ear, and you can really tell that you considered all of those things for a bass player, when you were writing this piece, like, oh, will this be possible? Um,
I mean,
and
there were some things I was like, I can't actually do that. I hear it in my head. I can't actually do it. Just trust that a professional will figure it out. Because, like I said, I'm not a trained bassist. I just enjoy playing bass, but I more play like electric bass guitar and stuff, and bass recorder and stuff like that. But yeah, It should be possible theoretically. Good luck, Holly.
um, right, but you know you've managed to put in just the perfect amount of space for things to change. There's a moment of a caesura in the beginning of the piece where you have a moment to transition from arco to pizzicato, and another place where you're going from colegno to arco, and you have just 16th note rest to get to where you need to be. But it doesn't seem like it doesn't at all seem like that's part of the plan to take away anything from the piece, but it
It
almost
just made it part of it.
yeah, because those rests are still a part, like you said, everything is stemming from that first
Mm-hmm.
opening
Gesture.
bliss, and that has like a little rest in between, and so
Mm-hmm.
it seems to transfer and everything. It seems just right, even though you've perfectly managed to help out the player, so that's really awesome. Can you talk a little bit more about those places where maybe you couldn't personally play it on the bass, but you thought, oh, well, a professional will figure this out, and maybe they'll be able to adapt and find a way to play.
Well, for instance, measure 34. Once you get above a D, I'm just like, I don't even. But I know that people can play above Ds on the bass. I personally, I don't know what's up there. I'm just fishing around looking for stuff, um, but like I said, I know that a professional such as yourself will be able to figure it out, and that whole measure is a gesture. It can be taken at a time. It's completely rubato. I just want to hear something that's slow and just getting faster and faster and faster. So, however fast you can do those last four notes, just figure out how slow you need to start. And a professional, such as yourself, will do that with ease.
Right. It's kind of
But
it's
yeah, once you get above D, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going. What is going on?
um but yeah, so really just kind of envisioning that prow, someone creeping, and then getting and starting to run, and
Yeah,
however that manifests in the player's body is the right, and we don't have to stay exactly 60 to 70 beats per minute to make that
no,
show that story. It's really
no. Really, the only place that I really want to have vision like sticking to a tempo is when in 15 through 22 where you have that B flat. You know, have the B flat is
constant,
very constant and that's rhythmic and everything else is just sort of flying around it.
right?
But
Can you talk a little bit?
really,
Can you talk a little bit about what inspired that section of the piece?
just I was playing and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. I like it. And then, but just having B flats over and over again, as cool as it was, just bop, bop, bop. It needed something, so I put in some little
Embellishments.
embellishments here, a little left hand pizzicato there, just and that gesture, that rising third gesture, rising fourth, embellishments of that main bit of melodic material, but it just was very cool, and it sort of harkens toward the groove that comes in the last page. Just having this thing that you can just feel in your soul, this boom, and all these things are just happening around it,
Yeah.
but you can just really feel that groove.
Mhm.
So,
Got it. Awesome.
using my headphone.
That's great. I love it. And and there's a wide variety of dynamics in this piece as well. Lots of building and quick changes, and I feel like and that really exaggerates the motion of the piece, and really like getting louder when things are getting quicker, but also sometimes the opposite, and just really cool things that really add so much character to the piece, and it's just really awesome. So
Thank you. I'm glad you like it.
yeah, is there anything else you would like to that you think people need to know before they're about to start this piece, or really anything else you think people need to know when they're looking at this piece?
No, I think we've covered everything. The
Awesome.
most important parts are the groove, but there are places for rubato.
Right.
Just have to get it in your body, feel it, feel when it's grooving, and feel when things are, you know, rushing forward or pulling back or need to do those things.
Great.
And
That's
just make it your own, make it, tell your own story through it, I hope.
right. I just really look forward to, playing this piece at the International Society of Bassist Convention in a couple weeks. And soon after that, the piece will be available for everyone to get their hands on. And I just really encourage everyone to eat it up and grab it and get your own copy of the score and really dive into it and take a look at all of the different grooves, the different themes and ideas in the piece and really make it your own. I think it's going to be really cool to see how the bass community takes this piece and runs with it. And we get, hopefully, we get tens to hundreds to thousands of different recordings of this piece and really get to see, the different characters of everyone in the community. So I'm really looking forward to that. And thank you so much, Mel, for writing it. And we're really looking forward
My
to it.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Really
And I'm
looking
so
forward
looking
to it.
forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Yay. Thank you so much.